Let's see if it does. There we go. We are live. I don't think anyone's actually here this week, but
Not
we'll see
yet.
if they show up.
So,
Go ahead and do like talk, like count to 10.
you want me to talk to 10? Crap. Why's my ear itch? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Okay. I think you're good. I just had to adjust your levels so that you were semi near mine.
Oh, that's fine.
I actually have your boosted in post because I don't know. We'll see how it sounds. Who knows?
Did you have to boost me last week?
I don't know. Last week,
Alan was like, Andrew, you're eating your microphone. And so then
well,
I moved it like...
last week yours did sound blown out for some reason, but it doesn't sound like that this week.
I think, okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah. All right. We've got our please just like chill for a sec, but people can hear us talking. Ready for me to switch to the real show?
Fart.
All right, here we go. Hello and welcome to let's see, episode 13 of Press Extra Revolution, the Press Extra Revolution podcast for November 17th, 2021. I am your host, michaeknipp, and I'm here as always, pretty much always, with Andrew Fastest Guns in the Midwest. Is that what I called you last week?
I don't know if I can say always. There was like a hiatus of mine where I was gone for like a month, but yeah. I'm back now. And I know by far I am not the fastest guns in the Midwest. That is for darn sure.
That's gotta be your nickname, and you're the shooter person here. So
I am the shooter person.
Welcome to the show this week. The thumbnail this week was Master Chief, which there was a little bit of a surprise that happened this week. Okay, did you follow any of the press leading into this? Let me set the stage. So this is what, the 20th anniversary of Halo? 10th anniversary of Halo? What is it?
2001, 20.
Frick. Okay, so this is like the 20th anniversary of Halo, and there were rumors all over the media that there was going to be a drop of Halo. They were going to release the multiplayer for Halo Infinite early to hit the deadline, because it was supposed to come out in what, a month? It's like a couple weeks away.
It's supposed to come out. That's the new date. It's been supposed to come out for a while now, and they keep pushing it back.
But the new date was like a couple weeks away, and the rumor mill was that they were going to release it early so that it hits the 20th anniversary for Halo.
Yeah.
I heard a lot of people trying to quell the rumor, but I was excited for it, and then it turns out like that it was real, and I kind of want to like, okay, this is my conspiracy theory. I think the people knew and they were trying to hide it, and I don't know why. Like, why were they trying to downplay it? Because
I think how awesome is it always when E3 announces something? It's like, oh, by the way, you could download this today.
But if you are the journalist, it's not your job to be a PR marketer. Be like, I don't think it's actually coming, guys. If you know it's coming, freaking don't lie. Like, I kind of think people lied. What?
You think journalists like actually knew about this? Because if they knew this, then they would have said something. They're not under any obligation.
They did. There was a lot of journalists that heard the rumors, and when asked to comment on the rumors, they're like, "It's not real." I'm like, somebody had to know this was real, right? Like this. Yeah. I think they lied to us. But what we have here is we've got the early release of Halo Infinite. Are they just calling it the beta, or is it like real?
So it is real. They're calling it the Halo Infinite multiplayer beta. But it is like, it's not, they're not taking it away.
They're not changing
it. Like this is the multiplayer. So I don't know why they're calling it a beta per se, unless they're just
so just in case it's screwy, they be like, it's just a beta, I guess. It's like the multiplayer is screwy. It's a beta.
I mean, it really, that very well could be, but no, it doesn't play like a beta. It plays like a full blown Halo multiplayer
You've been playing the Halo Infinite. How is the Halo Infinite? I heard a lot of good things about it before it came out, but I know you were a little bit skeptical.
So yes, I'm skeptical about Halo Infinite overall. I tried to play a little bit of the beta, like the actual beta that they had like back in October. The real beta. What of worlds that we come to when we have demos and the betas, and then like actual betas, and then betas that are actually just like full release. Like, what the heck is going on with games? So yeah, I played it during that time, and I wasn't a huge fan. Part of that beta was so weird because they couldn't. We'll call it an alpha for the sake of this conversation,
Okay.
so that we don't get confuse everybody. Back in October when they released it in like schedule, so it was like from 8 to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time or whatever. It like you can play it, and then we're gonna shut all the servers down, and then there'll be another slot available from 12 to 2, and they just broke it out into these weird slots all weekend, and I could never get into a match because it was just like I was busy, and it was like I'm home but I can't play.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So like I played bots with it a little bit and it was fine, but I wasn't really super impressed. From the moment I started the actual multiplayer when it came out, I was like, this feels like Halo.
I mean,
I think they made some like
Are you saying
major
Halo
tweaks.
is back? Is that what you're saying?
Kind of, yes. The multiplayer, it felt like Halo in a good way, and I was very surprised.
Out of curiosity, are there still bots? Like, can you still play against bots if you want to?
Yes. So
nice.
When I first started playing with my friend Joe, we would play online, just against bots. We weren't even going into the multiplayer server. So we did that for a couple rounds because he's like, I want to figure out my keybinds.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, after the second round, I'm like, dude, let's get into it. Then we got murdered. It was so rough. Halo multiplayer is so competitive right now, and it's really hard to get into because I feel like almost every match I've been in, I'm walking around a corner and just getting nuked.
I mean, like Halo 5 had consistent players and Master Chief Collection, right? So a lot of people have been in the Halo grind, whereas you took a little break and played other games.
Sure, but even at that point, like to some extent, first-person shooter skills carry over to other games.
Sure.
And like I don't think I'm a bad first person shooter. I'm not the best by any means, but I don't think I'm bad at the game. And I'm like both myself and Joe, who is a better first person shooter than I am, like we were both just getting slaughtered. I was playing this evening and to the point where I was like, I googled like, have cheaters actually broken the game already? Because like this doesn't feel right. Like I'm at that how fast I am melting. The biggest problem I see is that the pistol is just so stupid overpowered that if you can get a headshot with that thing, you can just melt someone in like 5 shots. Like and it pulled, you can pull the trigger really fast on it. They've got some balancing nice stuff I think to do, but like tonight we were playing big team battle and like we hopped in a Warthog and we're just driving around the map. I was driving and Joe was in the turret and we were just nuking fools and it felt great. I was like, oh, it was a lot of fun. So I'm enjoying it for sure.
You also were excited for the release of the new Battlefield that dropped, right?
Yes.
So
no.
It comes out Monday,
Tuesday. It drops Friday officially.
Okay.
It came out. I pre-ordered for one of the editions to be able to play it a week ahead of everyone else. And so that's what I have been doing.
Do you think Halo is going to take over your Battlefield, or are you planning on maining Battlefield?
That was really hard, and that was my biggest issue when Halo came out. It's like I want to play Battlefield 2, but I want to play Halo. It's like, what do I do? And so like, because I'm really enjoying Battlefield as well. Like I think that is a fine entry so far. There's a lot of complaining about Battlefield right now as well. It's got some bugs for sure.
Or okay.
It's just some bug stuff, some glitches and stuff like that. People are all like, this game's not going to be good for 6 months anyway, so why are we even buying it now? And this is like in-game chat, people who have already bought it.
Yeah.
So it's like they're having all these conversations. I'm really enjoying Battlefield though. And that's the hardest part for me is I think what it's probably going to happen is I'll be playing Halo, and when I just get tired of getting slaughtered, I'll go to Battlefield where I actually feel a little bit more competitive, and we'll just swap to that. And so I might balance that out for a while. Halo has a battle pass system.
Okay.
And I have picked that up, and so I'm planning on playing it for a little bit yet. So.
It's free to play, so anybody can play that has.
And that's the weirdest. That's like a weird, cool thing on Microsoft. It's like, yeah, here's the multiplayer.
It's anybody that has an Xbox or PC, right?
Yeah, I'm playing it on Steam right now.
That's weird.
I tried to play it on the through the Xbox app through Game Pass, but it wouldn't like I've been having some weird glitches with the app where it just like won't update games, and so I just uninstalled it from there. Just I had it on Steam, and so I just been playing through Steam because Steam works.
Nice.
It's just it's really crazy that's such a tentpole series, a main entry to a console generation, would just like drop their multiplayer like on a surprise, like boom, here you go, have fun. That's I feel I really it's just you don't see that as much as I think we would like to anymore. Usually there's so much marketing and it's all planned out that you see it from a mile away.
They had delayed this game for like a year last time it was supposed to release.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that it's actually available now, I like that they did it early because it made a milestone for their anniversary and whatnot. Plus, Halo's in a weird place where I mean, okay, let's just be real. When the first Halo came out, it was like the first, and this is probably gonna be offensive to somebody. It was the first like shooter on consoles that actually felt half decent. Like I've enjoyed shooters on consoles before Halo, but
yeah,
you can't go back to them. You can go back to Halo 1 and play it, and it plays fine. Like it doesn't look as good, but it plays fine. Whereas like if you go back and try to play like pre-Halo Medal of Honor, dude, those games are horrible to control. Or like
I don't
single stick shooters. Do you remember single stick shooters? They don't feel good.
I think the first shoot I mean I have my first single stick shooter I would probably be Donkey Kong 64, and I don't think I'd want to go back and play that game
have you ever played like GoldenEye or Perfect Dark or Turok?
I didn't play when I was a kid. No.
Yeah, I played them. I didn't play them when they were new, but going back and playing them, they just first person shooters have come a very long way, and the dual stick introduction was like the major thing, and Halo felt so much better than any of the other shooters that had come out at the time. Like Alan talked about liking Time Splitters, and I think Time Splitters is awesome in a lot of ways, but it's not I don't even think the original Time Splitters let you flip the inversion on the controls. Like there were just things that shooters didn't become standardized until Halo came along and said, yo, this is how you do a shooter on console. And then obviously Halo 2, Halo 3, those were like tentpole releases, major releases, competing with Call of Duty. Like they were bigger. Frankly, I thought they were better than Call of Duty, but Call of Duty did a lot of things cool. It was like the heyday of 360 online multiplayer. And then I feel like Halo 4 and 5 really just dropped the ball in multiple ways. But this is supposed to be like them trying to become a major relevant thing again.
I think 4 and 5. I think like 5 just didn't feel enough like Halo should feel. It was they really went too far in the Call of Duty, like on the slider. Like they just went way more Call of Duty and less Halo. 4, I think people might have just. It was not a memorable game. No. Like nothing about it really stood out. Like if you told me to talk to you about the plot of that game, I might be able to like tell you like how it opens and how it ends.
Halo
and
4,
it might be accurate in that.
Halo 4 was the first entry in the series where if you hadn't read any of the outside like fiction books or whatever, like there's a character that just shows up and he's supposed to be a big deal and you're like, what the heck is going on? And then like he unleashes a super weapon and you're like, what is this game?
Yeah, it's some. It's really fun though playing like 4v4 Halo, and you've got your announcer, and he's like double kill, or just like.
Does actually have the right announcer? Because when I was watching people play it, it was like a girl announcer.
No, so that's one of the. So there's a couple different things that are new to Halo in this series, with this multiplayer. You have an AI, buddy, kind of like your ghost from Destiny. That just is talking to you while you're like playing. Like so when you spawn, he'd be like, "I hope we do better than last time," or whatever, or just not like that. He doesn't say that, but just he talks about like different, just banter.
I think the wizards are from the moon.
Crap. So there's that. You have abilities kind of like in Halo 3 where you had like you could walk around and pick up a bubble shield and then you can throw that down. They brought that back. I I didn't play a lot of 4 and 5, so maybe these were just maybe just never left. But you've got all these different abilities where you can drop down like a barrier, and then it's got quadrants in the barrier, so that if the enemy can just shoot out certain quadrants of it, then it doesn't seem like it takes a lot of damage.
Do you can you just sprint? Like, is that a thing?
Sprinting is a thing.
Okay.
And when you jump on up towards a ledge, if you get close enough, you'll trigger the grab animation where he'll grab the ledge and pull you up onto that ledge. So there are some things on there that make it feel not classic Halo. In my head, it feels like what Halo needs to be in 2021.
Sure.
Where you've still got these weird jumps, and it's a lot slower than like Call of Duty.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've still got overshield, so like you take more hits. Yep. Yeah.
You've got a shield and you've got a health bar.
Mm-hmm.
And those will, and if you survive on a counter, all of that will regen. You've got the classic, like you got 2 people running up to each other with assault rifles, and the first one to melee the other one will win.
Yeah.
Like that's actually a thing. The amount of times when we both meleeed each other and I've just died, I've just been like, yeah, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's Halo. So yeah, no, I'm really impressed so far. My biggest issue is that it's so competitive, and I seem to get thrown into matches with people who are way better than I am. Bungie, no, oh man, 343.
Yeah,
they develop like their own, like they have their own Microsoft like anti-cheat stuff that they're using. I saw an article about like this anti-cheat better work well, otherwise this could like ruin the multiplayer, because there's nothing more like worse than just running around just losing to a bunch of noobs who are just like, oh, just throw my aimbots on, and it sucks. So, but no, I'm really like Warhogs. Like I'm driving a Warthog around a multiplayer map. That's awesome.
I was watching somebody fly around. What are the flying ones called? Banshees.
So there's like this new vehicle that I've never seen before. It's called a Wasp. Okay. I mean, it might have actually been it might be from Halo Wars. If I'm not entirely sure on that, but it's basically like a single person jet that kind of just like hovers around, and you can go for, and then you can just like turret and stuff like that. Banshees are the Covenant like planes that you could like those like you could do it for all from Halo.
Yeah,
1,
I watched somebody flying around a Banshee, and they got too close to the ground and they got hijacked, and it was like, oh yeah, that's a Halo thing.
Yeah,
hijacking vehicles is always fun.
And when the Warthog, they've introduced like all 3 positions on the Warthog can be hijacked.
Nice.
So you could be driving around, and if they get too close, they can hijack the turret.
Always a thing?
I only remember the driver ever getting hijacked.
Okay. I feel like that was the thing, because I feel like I've definitely, and maybe it was I just killed the person, but I do remember getting in the passenger seat of a Warthog being driven by an opponent, and that's always funny.
Yeah, well, if you can do that if the seat is empty. I don't know if
hijack each position.
Yeah, I think. But now, if there's someone in there, if you get close, you can just hijack it.
That's funny.
I ran into an issue where I was driving a Warthog, and Joe had gotten he was on the turret. He got hijacked out of the turret, and all of a sudden, I was driving around an enemy player who was on the turret.
Nice.
It's just shenanigans like that you're getting into. So yeah, I mean, friendly fire is a thing, which seems like it could be a huge problem in online multiplayer. I was on my way to pick up Joe from the Warthog, and I drove around a corner, and he was right there, and I just splattered right there, like it was instant KO.
Nice.
So it's just, my biggest issue with it is that it's just so incredibly competitive. I think once, as more people play and as time goes on, the algorithms will hopefully kind of balance everything out with skills based and levels and stuff like that.
I mean, there are already levels in place, right? So in theory, the people that are good are just going to keep leveling up faster than the people that aren't. So,
and just the people who have more time
and you'll get better at it, hopefully.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, Halo. I'm impressed. It's kind of got me. Now, talking about this all tonight and kind of putting my thoughts into words, it's kind of got me thinking like, man, I hope the campaign is this good. Like, I hope it's this fun.
The thing is, like, I felt like, obviously we mentioned in Halo 1, it was like revolutionary for its time as far as like being a console shooter. And I feel like Halo 2 and 3 just took like different elements of the game to the next level. Bungie, I feel like, has continued to innovate in the shooter space, because I think Destiny 1 and 2 are like the first good and like successful shooter MMO hybrids or whatever.
Okay.
And I don't feel like Halo 4 and 5, the 343 entries, were either innovative or even iterative in any major ways. And I know that people play
Yeah.
the multiplayer, like people are going to like Halo multiplayer, but I don't feel like those entries
Hmm.
were any major revolution. Halo Infinite, though, is supposed to be like open world and it's supposed to be like a living thing where they can add content. So it does sound like they're
That's.
trying to do something different at least
Hmm.
with the single player, which we haven't seen yet and it's not available yet.
Mm-mm. Yeah. Um. I don't like. I see what you mean about Destiny. I would also maybe throw in Warframe as far as like successful shooter MMOs. That one is
Sure,
very successful.
sure.
Um, Destiny, in my opinion, like I don't know if you've played any of the expansions that they've released recently, but it
Not
all
two,
literally just
no.
feels like the same boring grinds.
Sure.
Like I feel like they've really lost something with that game. In the last few expansions, I played the campaigns for every single one, and I'm always just like, why did I pick this up? And then the next one comes out, and I'm like, oh, it's sweet, more Destiny. And then like, oh, I'll give it a try. I'll try to get back into it, and then just like, no.
We talked about this with Metroid Dread. There is something that I feel like is hard to put into words, but there is something significant about games that feel good to play. And you can have your opinion, but like Destiny and Destiny 2 were probably just the shooters that I'd played that just felt the best. Like
Mm,
there was nothing like playing Destiny when it came to just walking around and shooting things. The act
mm-hmm,
of movement, the act of playing with the guns just felt
mm-hmm.
better than any of the shooters that I'd played as far as my
Yeah.
taste goes. And so
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's some of that when it comes to Destiny, where it's like Destiny feels so good to play, people just want to play more Destiny, and sometimes it's disappointing because it's just more Destiny, but also it feels good to play. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is what it is. I Halo previously, especially with Halo 2 and 3, like Halo felt like Halo. It was different than Call of Duty. It
Mm-hmm.
felt like Halo.
Yeah.
There's more physics involved. There's a slower pace, like you said. There's always like the special Halo guns that feel like the Halo guns. Um, there's been enough of a break that I think that people are going to enjoy this multiplayer. The fact that it's free to play is going to bring in a lot of people, I think. And if they can
Yeah.
continue to make that interesting, because they have to compete against. Let's just be real. They have to compete against Fortnite and they have to compete against Warzone. I think those are the biggest, and Apex, I guess, like the biggest shooter
Yeah.
competitors. And they have to make it stand out to a generation that has no reason to care about Halo. The
No.
Halo, the
Right.
last couple Halo entries were nothing. So for us, we go, oh, Halo was a major thing, but we're also like on the older, or at least the middle, probably end of the gaming generation. Whereas the new people that come in, they don't care about Halo. They've played Warzone and Fortnite and stuff.
I think to a
So
certain I think to a certain extent they might not care, but they've definitely heard from like like my younger brothers have heard about Halo and like LAN
sure,
parties and like we're
but
gonna get together and we're
they
gonna play
didn't
Halo
do
and
it. Like they didn't actually like
no,
do
but
it.
I think Halo has something to its name where if I was like, oh, this new Halo multiplayer is out, I think the name Halo carries something. Like if this is kind of their
The
chance.
fact that it's free is going to get those people to try it.
Sure.
And I think that's a smart move on their part, where they can do things like the battle pass to try to bring in revenue. I think if it wasn't free, they would have had a lot harder sell. But I think this is a good move for them, especially because they have to compete
Yeah.
against other free games that are huge.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
say what you will, like about Fortnite or Warzone, with any different patches that cause problems that people don't like, but those games are freaking
Hmm.
huge, and the fact that they're free means people will continue to play them.
Yeah. Yep. So it'll be interesting to see how Halo does. I think we're gonna know a lot more in a couple weeks when the campaign drops.
I don't think we're gonna
Um,
see Ariana Grande fighting against Master Chief in Halo Infinite, but you never know. You never
you
know.
never, you never know. Um, I don't want to overshadow this too much, but the new Battlefield has come out,
Yeah.
which is kind of a which is the next main entry is because a
What
lot
is
of
it?
people
What's
didn't
it
really.
called?
5 was kind of a fumble, huh?
What's the new one called? Battlefield.
Battlefield 2042.
Okay, so it's futuristic then.
It is there's future, so I don't know why. I wish they just stick with 6 and stuff like that, but the last one was 5. That was a World War II game. That game. So some people like the multiplayer, but I feel like for the most part, it didn't catch on in the way that other games in the past, like Battlefield 1, like despite it being World War One, that game caught on. And people loved that game. There's some really interesting things that they did with Battlefield 2042 to kind of set it apart, and not make it just another entry in the Battlefield series. So when you're building your loadouts, they basically have made it so that you can swap out any attachment in the field.
Okay.
As you're just running around. So like you have you basically hold down the modify button and you get 3 slots for like your 3 scopes that you can just throw in your backpack, 3 barrels, 3 like grips, and 3 drawn a blank. There's another one. What is the right one? Oh
some other gun
clips. Okay. Clips, ammo types. And so like what I've done is I've got an assault rifle that I can basically slim down to an SMG for like close quarters, and you can just like modify that on the go. It's really cool, and I really like that mechanic quite a bit. I think it's a good, smart like next step, and that it's been a lot of fun to just like modify my weapons depending on the situation I'm in and just go. I've turned my assault rifle. I have a scope that I can just like put on my long barrel and put on one of my different mags, and then all of a sudden I just go single shot, and I've got like a long range like semi-automatic weapon that I can, and I've actually gotten a kill or 2 with that. So that's been really cool. Let's see, there was one. Yeah, there's just a lot. It's been fun to watch.
Has Battlefield done anything to combat like the frustrating part I had with it in the past, which is that you'll spawn in, you'll do a significant amount of running to catch up to the battle, and then you will die? Like, can you spawn closer to the action? Like, how long do you live? Because I mean, your health, you die quickly.
So if that was a problem in the past, that is still going to be a thing. In here, like you spawn, and unless you can get a vehicle, you spend the first like couple minutes running towards an objective to take it. Like that's the open world criticism we kind of talked about a little bit last week. That is still very much a thing. You can spawn on squad mates. That will get you closer to the action as the match progresses, and you have different points. You can spawn on those points, but you still got to traverse ground in between points. I have found that certain points become hotspots. And so you might spend more time just spawning on that point, and you're just dropping right back into the action. You don't even have to worry about the other points. Okay. So there's that.
I mean, like Battlefield, like I feel like you die quickly, like in Call of Duty. But the thing about Battlefield is always the scope of the battle. It's like the name of the freaking game, Battlefield.
Yeah.
So like, how are the vehicles? How are the like larger maps? Is it 64 players?
It's 128 players.
Okay, so 64 team.
Yes, the team is a 64. I can still not fly a jet to save my life. I can still not fly a helicopter to save my life. I can pilot. I can drive a tank. I can drive a jeep. That's really like it. I'm just not very good with the vehicles, and I haven't been. You can, but like I'll run around with a missile launcher and just shoot tanks. And like earlier today, I got. This is one of my favorite moments. So there are these troop transports, which are basically like giant planes that you can they can just take like 6 people. I shot one of those out of the sky. He was almost dead, and I got the last shot, and I got like 5 kills just because I shot the whole, because it was like full of people. So that was like a really cool moment. It's like what the
Do
heck?
they have the option of parachuting out?
Dead. Huh?
Do they have the option of parachuting out if you're doing that?
They can, but they either weren't paying attention to the health, or they thought they were okay. Nice. Because if you're using a lock-on weapon, they can deploy flares, and that throws their missiles aside. But mine was just like a straight shot.
Nice.
I'm pretty sure it's the one that I used. That, or he was out of flares. I don't remember which missile launcher I was using, but yeah. So it's just been a lot of fun to play that. The scope. There are certain maps that are better than others. There's one where it's basically like this giant wall down the middle, and then on one side it's like completely green and farms, and like they've got like they're irrigating everything. There's this like trenches and stuff like that for water, and the other side is just like open rough desert. and so like they spawn on different sides, and there's just like a lot of walking to try and get anywhere. So there's stuff like that. Um, One thing I didn't mention is that, but as part of the class system with each of the individual characters that you're playing, you are choosing people that have different abilities.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so like you might have like healer, which is who I play primarily, where she's got like a dart gun, or she's just shooting tranks into people from long range, and she can heal, and that'll just heal them. And so I like to do that. And then she has this thing where if she gets really low, she just jabs the needle into her arm, and then she just heals herself.
Are those
Um,
replenishable, or are they just?
they don't replenish. You can't pick them up because they're a special item. But I don't usually last long enough that it's
Sure,
an issue.
you just die.
Yeah, it's a good solution. You can swap out ammo crates and health crates as a side weapon, so any class can carry an ammo crate. Previously, that was just limited to the engineer class, where they would be able to supply ammo. But now I could create like a healer person who also is just carrying around an ammo crate, and I could just go around and drop that. It's very different than how Battlefield has played in the past, where specifically you'd like, I want to be the engineer because I want to get the points for like where I can just go to points and just drop ammo crates all over the place, and then as people pick up, you just rack up those points. So now any person can do that.
Do they do a decent job at rewarding all of that support stuff?
Yeah, like you'll get like combat ribbons.
Because I know,
which
like,
is basically
in Overwatch, you can freaking get crazy high scores just by being a healer or a tank.
Mm-hmm.
They're really good about balancing like team play with rewards.
Mm-hmm. I haven't really noticed specifically on the points level. Usually, when I'm looking at the scoreboard, I'm looking at my kills.
Sure.
But like, you will get like you will get like if you're like actively healing people, like it's giving you XP for that, and you're leveling up, and so which allows you to unlock more guns and stuff like that. So
nice.
That's what, for me, as someone who's not the best at shooting, there's a lot, might be other people. It's an easy way and a fun way to be like going around and just healing everybody. One of the more annoying systems is the revive system. So when you go down, you have the option to just end your life and just give up and respawn. And on the other side, though, you have the opportunity. I think it's like 30 seconds where you can press E if you're not a casual gamer, and you will just call for someone to revive you. And so like and so if you're paying attention, there'll be people like all around. There's like calling for revives, and so you can run over there. You don't have to be a medic to do this, but you'll just like grab your pads together and you'll just like zap them and bring them back. A lot of people don't pay attention though, and so like you'll be sitting there just like, I'm dying, help, and your character's like, help me. And it's like, I'm dying, and then everyone's just running away.
Can you be finished off like in that position, or
no?
Like,
the enemy can't touch you at that point. Okay. Yeah,
it's not like when we used to play Splinter Cell Conviction, where you fake die, and if you pop up and ask for a revive, they can just shoot you again.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they can't do anything, but you might have someone who's calling for a revive, and they're just right in the middle of a fire zone. And it's like, yeah, no.
Yeah, you're
and then like people, sometimes you'll try, and then you'll just die. Like there's been a time when Joe has gotten sniped, and I will run over to heal him. He's like, stop, this sniper, he's still looking at me. And then I'll die too. Yeah. So there was an instance on a crate map where we were chasing down a sniper. He was like, he found a way to get up to the very tip top where it's not like easily accessible, and he's just crouching and just sniping and taking everybody out. And so we went on a manhunt mission to hunt him down. And then at one point we put so much fire on him that he just jumped off with his wingsuit and just floated away to another part of the map. So
is that part of a class ability, or is it just something you can have? Or is everybody
the wingsuit is a class ability. It's a specific character that can do that. So
nice.
Yeah, no, actually no, it's not. I take that back. You can have a parachute or a wingsuit on each character. The character abilities can be stuff like, one character, he takes less explosive damage. One of them is, I haven't played with a lot of them. One of them has the ability where he can call in like a supply crate, and he can completely change his class. So like when you spawn, I have an assault rifle, but I can swap out all the attachments to make myself mobile. If this guy can call in a supply crate and be like, "No, I don't want an assault rifle anymore. I want a sniper rifle," and just completely swap. So he's got that ability. So there's just stuff like that to help swap things around. I've been really enjoying it, and that was really what tore me when Halo came out. It's like, but Battlefield. I'm having so much fun with Battlefield.
It's just funny to hear you say this because, like, historically, we've been friends a really long time, and you were such a Halo fanatic. But Halo 4 and 5 just did you so wrong.
I didn't. It was just. I think it's not just Halo 4 and 5. 343 has just not handled the series.
I protested Halo 5 because that was the first Halo to release without co-op, and local co-op, and I was like, that's literally why I play. Like, I don't care about the story. I literally play Halo because Halo is fun to play, and I like to play it with a friend. And they took that away from me, and I was so mad.
Oh, my word. It sucks. Like that local co-op was a huge reason why a lot of people play. It's not just you that played Halo. Like that, they should have known better than to do that. I don't know why. It's just. I don't know what's going. I think there's so much pressure on this team. I think right now to try and deliver on that Halo product, especially with how everything else has gone. Like Halo is like Microsoft's tentpole franchise, other than maybe Forza. Like that is like Forza and Halo. I think are probably the two genres that are just like, this is Microsoft
historically, and Gears, but Gears is not as big as Halo's ever been.
No. Correct. That's why I was thinking about Gears. Was like, I don't know if you count it, and definitely a tent pole, but
Forza
not
this year definitely has been performing well for them as far as like reviews go. So people are loving.
People like 4 and 5. Yeah, for sure.
I still haven't played it, but I would like to touch it because I can't.
Game Pass, bro.
Yeah, Game Pass makes it so you can touch any of the new games you want to. It's like, well, might as well give it a shot.
That's how I'm playing Forza. It's just like, it's because it's like I didn't pay $60 for the game. I don't know that I will. I think I'm just playing it and I'm having fun. I bought my Supra and then put the Brian skin on it.
Nice.
And then I brought my Nissan Skyline and then put the Brian skin on it. So that's all I've done. I've done what I needed to do in Forza.
You've done the Forza. Nice. Historically, what is your favorite first person shooter that you've played?
Historically?
Yeah.
Or just of all time?
Just for you, of all time. Do you have one?
Titanfall 2.
I was gonna be my guess if I had to guess.
Yeah, Titanfall 2. That game, it clicked with me, man. Like that game, it had the sci-fi elements that I like. It had the fast-paced like Call of Duty that I liked.
It's with the movement that's way faster than Call of Duty.
The movement that's so much better than any other shooter that's ever existed. Like I will say it. Like that, the movement in Titanfall 2 is so much better, and I would say, if not nearly perfect, they actually perfected it. Like it's so good, and the way the maps are designed to take advantage of that and to let you just wall run and just to do all of these things. I think the Titan combat in that game leaves a little bit something to be desired. But like the actual just pilots running around a map shooting other pilots, like it's just like, oh, this is so good. There was a rumor recently that like Respawn like confirmed Titanfall 3 is like, we're actually working on it. And that made me so mad when I was like, I couldn't find any confirmation. I think it was just someone being stupid.
Well, what it was a reporter asked what's the name of the dude? Is it Zampella or West?
Vint Zampella.
Okay, so they asked Zampella, are you guys done with Titanfall, or will there be more Titanfall in the future? And he said, well, of course there'll be more Titanfall in the future. It's a big deal. That's all he said. Like, there was no... I don't think they're even working on it, honestly. He was just like, yeah, we're going to make another Titanfall someday.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It could be construed, because Apex is technically based in the Titanfall universe.
Yes, and Apex, I think, is doing well for them.
I think it is.
Yeah.
It's not. You want to talk about competitive? Man, Apex is rough. I tried to get back into that a little bit because like my friend Joe, he really loves it, and it actually is like completed the battle pass on that game, which just takes a lot of hours to do in that game. But yeah, Titanfall, man. It's Titanfall, which is so crazy because Titanfall 1, like I was like, yeah, whatever. Like this is kind of cool. but Titanfall 2 just hit a whole nother level. That game is still active, and I've actually in the last couple of weeks have like gone back and like played a couple multiplayer rounds with just people, because there are still players that are just like, this game is amazing.
Nice.
What about you? I know you're not a shooter guy.
I've played a lot of shooters, like multiplayer shooter. The multiplayer shooter I've played the most was either Reach or Halo Reach or Modern Warfare 2. And of those two, I like Reach more than Modern Warfare 2.
Did you play Modern Warfare 2?
I played a decent amount of Modern Warfare 2.
Wow.
Just because it was literally all of my friends played it at the same time. So it was like, well, if I want to play with anybody, everybody's playing Modern Warfare 2, so might as well play that. As far as frick, if I just had to pick like a first-person shooter, that was probably my favorite. My go-to would probably be BioShock Infinite, just for the campaign. Which that game's campaign is so good. It's so good on so many levels. It's like actually probably like one of my favorite stories in a video game. So, are you? Oh no, you're not frozen. Are you just
no, thinking? I just got a message about something, and it's like in Discord, and I was like, "What the heck?"
Oh, nice.
I think my brother's just being weird.
I think BioShock Infinite is
probably
my favorite shooter, first person.
I was looking through games to buy on the Switch the other day, and they had BioShock Infinite. I think it was like $8.
Oh, weird.
On Switch, and I was just like torn because like I don't want to play that game on the Switch.
No, you
but
don't.
Also, that game is amazing.
Do you have a Pro controller?
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say I don't want to play any game on the Switch with the default controls.
no, I would play it with the Pro control. But my problem is that I don't think that game would look or run very well on the Switch.
No. Why were you just digging around the Switch store? You just wanted to use your Switch again?
I do that every once in a while. Like
I do that, but I'm also on my Switch frequently.
I'm on my Switch somewhat frequently as well. Okay. You're gonna think I'm stupid for this one, and the fans will probably judge me as well. But I finished Dread, and everyone knows my opinions about like it's a love-hate relationship with that game. Like I think it plays very well, but overall I think the level design is bad. I was downloading another game or playing Pokemon, and I was like, you know what? I kind of want to play more Metroid. So I loaded up the emulator and started playing Super Metroid, and have a save like an hour in on that one now.
Super Metroid. I've been watching somebody on Twitch, someone that I know on Twitch, play through Super Metroid, and graphically that game looks very good still. Like
I think that could be a game like as when we're talking about pixel art.
Yes.
Like could be released.
Like when I was watching them play, I did not realize it was Super Metroid for the Super NES. I was like, dang, that game still looks good. But there is some old school ideas of game design in Super Metroid where I've heard so many people tell me Super Metroid holds up completely if you play it now fresh. And I think that maybe that's a little bit of rose-tinted glasses. Because I think that game contains a lot of bullcrap, frankly. Just like old game design. And like the things that you complain about in Dread are all in there, but like way worse. Where like the map is way bigger with areas that you can navigate to at any point and hidden blocks everywhere. Like it's like, oh my word. Oh, and like the fact that in Dread you can kind of use all of your abilities with different button combos because we have modern controllers. Like in Super Metroid, even just to like shoot your different missiles, you have to toggle. Which is like, oh, that looks so bad compared to modern games.
That was an adjustment of just like having to toggle my missiles.
I mean,
and stuff
spoiler
like that.
for Super Metroid, the freaking old Super NES game, but like you have to toggle to get to the grapple beam. Like, so you can't just like pull out the grapple beam and swing if you see something. You have to like toggle to it, and then you can't shoot if you miss. Like, oh my word.
In the first landing area of Super Metroid, like you can go right or you can go left, and I went left, which is where you're supposed to go. And I did all of these things and completed all of this stuff, like learning about the game and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, cool. Like I can't go anywhere else. There's no other paths for me over here. I'm going to go to the right. And then I spent a while jumping around on all these platforms trying to figure out like, where am I supposed to go? Like there's nothing over here. And then I pull up the map and I'm like, oh, I think this is a hidden wall, and it was like he had to like bomb or like missile this wall. The fact that a dirt wall only gets blown up when you bomb it, but not when you missile it, is so broken.
You know, maybe
Like
it's
someone
not
needs
dirt.
to do
It's
video
just
game logic about that.
It's some kind of space mineral. You know, things gonna be things.
Yeah,
yeah. I've been watching people play, or watching specifically my friend Taya play Super Metroid on Switch, or not on Switch, on stream. It's just like one. It's amazing how well the game does hold up, but also there's parts of it that seem like they don't.
If they would ever re-release Fusion, I think I'd like to go back and play that.
Fusion,
like
the Game Boy
accessible
one
on the Switch, the Game Boy Advance one.
There's a lot of people that are clamoring for that.
Yeah, I think that could be.
I mean, they're working on an HD re-release for Prime that a lot of people are excited for. Which Prime was also another example of a single stick shooter. Like after games had already switched to dual stick, Prime came out as a single stick shooter.
Do you remember like in Prime when you'd walk around and you'd have to press a button to then go into like looking all around?
I refused to play it because it freaking reminded me of an ancient game when it came out.
It was on the GameCube. They had dual sticks.
I know.
Didn't they just use the C stick? Like you could just swipe right and you go to bombs and like swipe up and it go to missiles or something like that.
Something like
that. What they did?
They took it after games had already switched to dual stick controls and they made it control like GoldenEye, where you have to press a button to get full range.
Do you think Nintendo will fix that, or do you think they'll just re-release?
I was listening to a podcast today where somebody was like, "Do you think they'll add in dual stick mode?" And like, surely they will, right? Like it's a remake, not a remaster.
I don't think we can count on it.
I don't know who's doing the remake. If it's Nintendo in-house, then who knows? It could be the best remake ever or the worst remake ever. Yeah, if it's any third-party house, they'll add dual stick control. Like anybody else would add dual stick controls, but you never know. Yeah. Nintendo is such a freaking wild card.
It's so weird. It's just so weird.
Are you what games? Okay, we're nearing the end of the year. What games for next year? What game for next year are you most excited about? Mine's an easy, boring answer.
I mean, the only one I can think of right now is Dying Light 2.
Okay, which is not coming.
But no, don't say that. It'll come.
It's not real.
It'll be real. It will be real. It's real in my heart. That's the only thing I can think of. I mean,
I'm an Elden Ring boy. I want Elden Ring.
So some of the discussion around that game, and I kind of dug more. I haven't, full disclosure, haven't really paid much attention to Elden Ring. Okay. And then listening to you and Alan like talk about it, and like listening to other like podcasters talk about it, it's kind of got my attention now.
It looks good, dude.
Like I hope it is.
Like, did you actually listen to people that played the demo talk about it?
Yes.
Okay, because everyone's freaking hype on it. Like, I heard a lot of good praise, and that's why, like, last week when I was talking about it, I was like, dudes, this might be a revolutionary game that feels like this is the next gen, like, this is a major iteration in gaming, and Alan was like, I don't think so, and I was like, I could be wrong. I like to be hype about things, but people are freaking hype about this game. Like, they're very excited about this game.
I will say that nothing they said made it sound to me like this is a new revelation. I think this is just a really good.
Well, I feel like it's
iteration on that genre.
It's the first game to me that feels like it's a next generation game. I'll say, I think because of COVID and a lot of delays on other games, like nothing against Halo Infinite, it's another Halo game, or like you know.
For sure.
The way that Elden Ring seems to be so large, but so fast and so big, but like also deep and wide, makes me feel like we have entered another generation if that game is going to live up to what the hype is. Whereas like, heck, nothing against the new Horizon game, but it just kind of looks like another Horizon game. Like, this game seems like it is, you know, it's a Souls-like in an open world, but that could mean that it's huge. It seems like it could be another thing. I guess Cyberpunk was hyped that way, but Cyberpunk ended up being a disappointment for most people.
Oh, ooh, that game. That was a game that had cool side quests, and that was it. Like, oh man, trying to drive through that city was a nightmare. You want to talk about like bad open world design? Like that game was not fun to get around in. Oh, that sucked.
So yeah, the hype around Elden Ring is big. There's Breath of the Wild 2, whatever they decide to call that, because I don't think they're gonna call it Breath of the Wild 2. Um,
No, they'll call it Breath of the Wild Dose.
they'll call it the Breath of the Wild U. But like
No, Breath of the Wild.
the new Breath of the Wild game, I'm hype. I want to see what Pokemon Arceus is.
Legends of Arceus.
Yeah.
That is on my list, and I'm gonna pick that up when it comes out. I am very excited for that.
Have you watched any of the gameplay for that?
Not. I just when they did for like E3 and just some like or basic stuff. Like, I don't,
they showed some of the battling, and it's weird because like you're controlling your character, and it takes place like in engine, I guess. Like it doesn't switch to a special battle mode, but it also looks like you were kind of selecting moves like classic Pokemon. I'm like, what is this game gonna feel like? And like,
Breath of the Wild means Pokemon.
Yeah, but what does that mean? Like,
Exactly.
Tagging Breath of the Wild has become the new marketing term. Like, oh, it's like Breath of the Wild does X. I'm like, what does that mean? Breath of the Wild was just an open world game. You don't know what Breath of the Wild was. Like,
yeah. I do want. Yeah, no, Legends of Arceus for sure. I want to play. I'm playing through Sword right now. And so I
having fun with your what is it? Mega.
No, it's not Mega Evolute. What is it?
The thing where you press their watch and they turn huge, whatever that's called.
Yes, that is Mega Evolution because it was the X form was the other thing that they released. They released in like I think it was X and Y. They released like your X form, and it was like Charizard, and then he becomes Black Charizard with blue flames or something like that.
Yeah,
I think that's what that.
What's your
It's
starter?
not Mega Evolution though. It's not Mega Evolution.
What's your starter?
I chose grass. I always go
monkey.
grass.
The
monkey. Oh, he's so adorable. It was really funny because like in the opening of that game, like this dude comes to town and he's like handing out Pokemon to you and your friend. Oh, I hate my rival so much. Oh, that dialogue is terrible.
I don't feel like the rival was bad in this one, was it? Were they?
Oh, I hate it so much. I just think it's just I think it's just Pokemon writing, and it's just
Pokemon writing
is what it is.
Pokemon writing.
But
is
like,
another class
so like I
writing.
chose like the grass type.
Yeah.
And then he chose fire, and so then the water type is just sitting there because it's really sad because like they're all three starters like playing together, they're just having a great time, and then you choose your Pokemon, and then all of a sudden the water's just like. I'm just like he's just chilling there. It's like no one wants him, and so the guy is like, "I'll take him."
I was doesn't like your friend or something pick it up?
Yeah, that dude, the champion, the Pokemon champion, picks it up. No, I'm playing through that. I want this. I know this doesn't mean a lot, maybe for you, but Diamond and Pearl remakes are coming out on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
I'm torn on whether or not I care about that or not. Diamond was the first like real Pokemon game that I played, and so like it holds a special place for me in my heart.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if I want to replay it. Yeah, but anyway, so Sword and Shield. That's the Arceus for sure though. I can't wait for that game to come out. That game looks so cool.
Arceus seems like it could be cool.
It could be really. It's going to be like one of those things where it's like this is really cool, 10 out of 10, or it's like. It's got some problems. Here's a 6. Like it's
there's obviously the Horizon game next year, which I think will be fun, but also I wasn't as big on the first Horizon as a lot of people seem to be. I don't think it's bad. It just it was an open world game. It was a more interesting open world game, than other open world games to me, but also. Is what it is. It sounds like they're like with the grapple hook and stuff. Like if you make the movement more fun, I'm gonna have more fun. But it is what it is. There's the new God of War, which I'm excited for. But also, I guess I don't think I thought I loved God of War, but I guess I don't love it as much as some people. Like Chris in our Discord, it's like one of his favorite game, like maybe his favorite game ever. It's like
I've heard that before.
It's not my favorite game ever, but it is fun. I had a lot of fun playing through it, but
I think that story just hit real home for a lot of people.
Alan likes to poop on the fact that we never talk about anything that's not Nintendo. It's like, well, I'm just not as excited about those
Well,
things.
don't forget the first half of the conversation where we talked about EA and Microsoft.
Yeah, well, we're gonna talk about shooters because that's what came out and that's what you've been playing.
Yeah, it's
And
what. Yeah,
if we're
for
gonna talk
sure.
about what I've been playing, we're gonna talk about 25-year-old Super Mario 64 because that's what I've been playing.
That's going great.
Um, I have I have a video that's gonna go up about Super Mario 64 where I explain the basics of the speedrunning scene and I specifically break down the run that I'm trying to perform and each of the tricks that I'm trying to perform. It's like a 40-minute video that just contains a full explanation of everything in case you A, want to try it, because I've recommended people try, or B, just want to understand what I'm doing in my runs. I've reached the point now where I've been timing myself because obviously I'm trying to beat it in under 20 minutes.
Mhm.
And the way that it's broken up is you broke it up into segments called splits. If you take all of my best performances for each of the splits, I am now under 20 minutes. I'm like low 19 minutes, I think. So I'm at the point now where I kind of don't want to play it because I want to get the record on stream or on video with me reacting or whatever. I'm at the point now where like I kind of don't want to play it as much. I've got enough practice that I don't want to play it as much unless I'm actually filming or whatever because I want to actually have it recorded. So it's like, well,
Yeah.
okay, I just need to practice certain things now, or maybe I'll just like stream a little bit every day of like my practice because now I have the ability. If I were to execute all of the segments to my best, I would be able to break 20. So
Wow.
it's a matter of nailing all of the tricks in the same run, which of
It
course,
sounds like a lot of what I hated about the last boss of Dread, where you have to nail the first two phases, and then you have to spend all this time on the third phase and learn it.
I mean, I would disagree because I I guess I just didn't have as much problem with the Boston Dreads. The other
I
thing
talked
is that
I talked
Mario.
to I talked to a guy today who played that boss and didn't know that you could destroy the sun in the third phase of that fight. And it took him 2 days or more where he had to dodge the beams of light that came out of the sun and dodge the guy, and that's how he beat the boss. He didn't know you could
Oh
destroy
my
the sun.
word!
Like that sounds like a terrible way to do that fight.
The weird thing to talk about the last boss of Metroid Dread is I loved that boss so much. I figured out his
Hmm.
patterns. I don't want to say I just like breezed through it. I still died a significant
Right.
amount of times, but I
Yeah.
I basically every time I died, for the most part, I was advancing and learning a new
Hmm.
part of the pattern. I died less times on the final boss than I did on like the first time you fight one of the dudes with the sword.
Hmm.
Like I died probably 30 times like the first time I fought one of those dudes. Like I could not differentiate fast enough whether it was going to be a blue hit or a red hit, and one of them you could parry and one of them you cannot parry and you better move out of the way.
Yeah, for sure.
So I
For
died
sure.
so many times fighting that boss. Whereas the final boss, I was like, "Oh, I'm progressing, I'm advancing," and then even I beat it after 10 tries or so. So yeah, I enjoyed that one. Super Mario 64 is like certain tricks are super fun to do, and I think that this is me just I'm gonna sound like a person just complaining because I'm bad, but like
Sure.
the original controller for the Nintendo 64 has like it's an analog controller that has analog input, but also the circle the place where the stick is marked out in 8 locations as if it were not
Hmm.
uh as if it were digital instead of analog.
Okay.
And so there are a lot of tricks that involve going directly left, right, up, or down,
Okay.
or diagonal. And I'm playing on a 360 controller. The game has analog input. So there are certain tricks that I am struggling with because um, I don't have the ability to know if I'm going true north, south, east, or west because I have a round stick area. And most of the
Mm,
speedrunners that play this game will either play with an original N64 controller or a modern version of an N64 controller with the 8 markings so you can go true directions. And I think that if I were to try to go any more advanced in the speedrunning scene than what I'm trying to do right now, I would have to switch controllers, just
Okay.
because. And also, like, this is gonna sound really technical again. The the buttons on the original N64, the stick was analog, the buttons were digital,
Mm-hmm.
and the throw on the Z button is nothing. It's just a single button. When you're playing on a 360 controller, which is what I'm doing,
Yeah.
you have to pull the trigger a lot farther to get it to activate your jump, and
Okay.
that just results in you messing up long jumps, which, like, part of that is something you can overcome with practice, but it's never going to be as fast as a short button press when you're pulling a whole stick. So it's like, okay, there's some things that I watch a lot of professional speedrunners do, and it's like, frick, I can't even do that right now if I were to try.
Mm.
And part of it's because I'm not as good, and part of it's just because the controller that I'm using is suboptimal for doing some of the strategies that they're doing. And so it's a matter of just, at this point, I can do the tricks. I still have suboptimal routes through certain levels, but I now have proven that if I were to do all of the tricks that I already know how to do in the same run, I would get a run for me for under 20. So I want to try to either, like, I'll probably just try to stream a little bit of that every day, probably is going to be my goal, because it doesn't take long to do a run. A single run at this point, if it's a bad run for me, is 30 minutes. If it's a good run, it's going to be closer to 20. But I think my best run right now is 22 something. So
yeah, this is a new world that you've entered.
it's super fun, and I've like researching the speedrunning, and the bizarrest thing to me is the fact that this game is 25 years old, and they're still learning new tricks. Like, they just learned a new trick this week, and all the speedrunners have been practicing the new trick. And it's like, this game has been out for so long. How are they finding new tricks? But they are constantly.
Yeah.
And so it's a very active community, and I'm watching different streamers, and the streamers are watching each other, and world records are getting broken, like, fairly often still. And I'm like, you know, nowhere near those levels. But I it's a game that I love, and I very much love following this weird scene. And so being able to be part of it in a small way has been really fun for me, especially because it's a game that's I've been part of my life forever. So
yeah, for sure.
It's
For sure.
it's a fun way
kind of like
to,
a celebration.
it is, and it's a fun way to re-enjoy. Like, how many games that are 25 years old are you still finding new ways to enjoy? Like, you know,
they'll be doing that about Breath of the Wild until, like, we're dead.
Dude, yes. If Breath of the Wild speedruns are also semi-interesting. I think of all of the speedrun scenes that I've followed, Breath of the Wild would be a fun one to try as well, just because there's so much buckwieldery that could happen in that game, and like ways to, like, glitch out system. Like, for me, the fun speedruns are a mix of fun glitches and just good play. Like, if it's just all glitches, you're like, what the heck is even going on? Like, Ocarina of Time speedruns make no sense to me. And if it's just good gameplay, then you don't see anything weird. But, like, watching good Super Mario play is a good mixture of, like, dang, that trick was insane, and also he just jumped over the roof of the level and popped through the floor, and you're like, what the frick, that was awesome. So I don't know, it's a good blend. So I might just I might just stream Super Mario after this. I don't know, we'll see.
For sure.
We've been going for the amount of showtime, I think. Yeah, we've been going about an hour now. So
who needs Alan?
Were there any other shows that you want, or video games you wanted to talk about this week? Have you touched anything else? Mario Kart?
Really?
How's your Mario Kart?
There was one other thing I did want to talk about. So I have the Apple Arcade.
Okay, yeah.
And there's a new Transformers game came out.
Okay.
This last week. What is it? I'm trying to see if I can find the actual name of this sucker. It is called Transformers Tactical Arena. It is essentially a Clash Royale clone.
Okay.
In Transformers. That I have been playing,
but
and
because
doing
it's
my
Apple
dailies
Arcade,
on.
they don't have microtransactions?
They're paid games that you get for free. So it's like Game Pass, but for mobile phones.
But they don't have microtransactions, do they?
No, this one doesn't.
Yeah, I was gonna say that none of the Apple Arcade games I've played have microtransactions at all.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool.
Yeah, so I've been playing this one, and just doing my dailies, and it's been fun. It's been kind of nice. I got burnt out on Clash Royale. I got pushed quite a bit in that game. But like at some point, it's just like, this is stupid. Like, why am I doing this to myself? The nice thing about Transformers is that alerts and like communication is like muted by default. You can go enable it, but you're not going to sit there and watch a Bumblebee emote just like taunt you about how like you're so sad that you're losing. Freaking garbage game.
If we're gonna shout out Apple Arcade, I will say that this is I'm a 100-year-old man. Apple Arcade because Apple Arcade is just games that don't have microtransactions. I love the version of Solitaire and the version of Sudoku that are on Apple Arcade because there's no bullcrap ads and there's no bullcrap microtransactions. And every day I do my dailies in Solitaire and Sudoku. So
nice.
That's what I wake up in the morning and that's my toilet experience.
Yep. The two main games I've been playing have just been Threes and Transformers. So, and I'm still playing AFK Arena, which I don't think I've ever talked about, and I'll probably go into more detail on that next week.
It's an idle game.
It's something else.
Okay. Well,
I'll go into it.
Thank you for listening to the podcast this week. There's an audio version available if that is how you choose to consume your podcast. It should be available on any podcast platform. If you liked this video, please subscribe to the channel. You'll get notified if you hit the bell of any new videos that we post. If you thumbs up this video live while you're listening to the podcast, it will show up for more people when we're recording live and more people can join in the chat. If you want to interact with the show live, we record the show every week at Wednesdays at 9:30 Central, which is kind of late, but it's what works for us. And anybody that's in the chat knows that they can just make us go off on tangents live if they want to. So that's always
control the conversation.
It's always a fun experience when we have live people. But thank you for watching.
Yeah.
Until next, I guess I'll pitch. Like, there's links to stuff. Join the Discord.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Down below, if you link in the description, join the Discord. We have a fun time talking about stuff there. I have other links down there for other crap if you want to find me, but that's not important right now. Until next time, press X to revolution. Viva la revolution!
X.
Thank you. Goodbye.